I'm Brian Goldsmith. Earlier today, I filed the papers to run for the California State Senate. I've never held elective office. I really never thought I'd run for anything. But these are extraordinary times.
That is Brian Goldsmith announcing his run to replace the term-limited Ben Allen in California's Senate. Senate District 24 stretches all the way from Agora Hills down to Rancho Palos Verdes out to West Hollywood. You likely recognize Brian's face if you regularly watch our show. He is our most frequent analyst in our show's 7-year history, having appeared in over 30 episodes of The Issue Is, but never as a candidate before. Brian, welcome back to The Issue Is, and congrats on the run.
You can see how I've aged over 7 years.
Even though you're older than me, it feels like our son has grown up and is going out into the world. Congratulations, this is wild to do it like this. Why are you doing this?
Because I think we're at an inflection point, not just in Washington, but in California. Obviously in DC, Donald Trump is trying to blow up our economy and our government. But in Sacramento, the status quo just isn't working. And I felt that it was time for lots of people, including me, to step up and do something bigger, something larger that could have a more direct impact on crime and homelessness, economic opportunity and affordability, the issues that I hear about all the time.
So what specifically would you do differently in Sacramento? And with that, how would you basically stand up to the Democratic status quo?
Well, I think every legislator brings his own perspective, and mine is we've got to spend our money efficiently and effectively. You've got Elon Musk with his chainsaw, trying to kind of blow up government, but then you have a lot of people who've just accepted for too long the way things are, where we've spent, $20 billion on homelessness without meaningfully improving the situation, wasted $20 billion on EDD fraud, driven a bunch of programs that aren't producing results. And so my perspective is going to be to look at everything fresh, and what's working, you double down on it. What isn't working, you get rid of. And I think it takes an outsider sometimes to have that perspective.
We know there is so much entrenched power for special interests in Sacramento. There's a reason why a lot of that is set up the way that it is. How would you do that? How would you fight your own party, fight the interests to get that done?
Well, I'm fighting MAGA and the Republicans, I think, a lot more than I'm fighting my own party. But, I'm coming into this not as somebody who's ever run for office, not as somebody who's dependent on any one special interest, but I want to build coalitions. I want to build consensus, and I believe I can. I think that there is a new understanding right now that government has to operate differently. And I represent, even though I'm getting a little older, a new generation of leaders coming in who, with a new governor, a new budget situation, a new political situation, I think we'll look at problems and solutions a little bit differently.
Certainly a different generation than Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
That's safe to say.
So if affordability is the biggest issue for people, how do we make life cheaper?
Well, we've got to make it easier to build here. We've got to make it easier to operate a small business here. We've got to make it easier for people to buy the everyday necessities. That means fighting the Trump administration on tariffs, which will raise the price of everything. But it also means here at home, simplifying processes, lowering fees, looking at, for example, what Josh Shapiro has done in Pennsylvania, what Jared Polis has done in Colorado, to operate government differently, to think of citizens a little less like subjects and a little more like customers. We're the technology capital of the world. We should be using AI to drive better customer service. We should be results and outcome oriented, not as process driven.
Sounds like a pro-business Democrat.
Well, I'm pro-business and I'm pro-labor. I think that's a false choice. I think that working men and women in this state have a real problem making it. A middle-class income in California no longer provides a middle-class life. And I think government has to be really focused on improving the quality of life for everyday Californians.
What's it like doing this on this side? You've come here, you talk so much about everybody else. It's easy to talk about everybody else. What's it like now being the guy yourself after telling everybody all the advice for all these years?
Well, it's a little different. It's a little bit like the lawyer representing himself, with a fool for a client. But There are parts of it I really like, getting the chance to dig in and think about policy. There are parts of it I like less. Asking all my friends for money is a new feeling.
Seems
and
awful.
Not a great one.
Yeah.
But I think it is kind of nice to be on my own 2 feet, to be independent, and to tell people what I really believe.
And are some of the people you used to give advice to now giving you advice?
Yes,
Some
of course.
candidates? And what are people telling you?
Well, plastic surgery, you've got a face for podcasting. People are giving me all sorts of advice. But I've been around this business long enough, both as a journalist and advising other Democrats, to kind of know that authenticity is really the coin of the realm. I've got to be who I am. And, I've got to do this my own way.
Part of that is answering honestly when we do personal issues on this show, which I know you've seen many, many times over the years. So now it's your turn to do the hot questions. Brian Goldsmith, what's your favorite TV show?
Succession.
Great. Favorite movie?
The Godfather.
Great choice. Favorite band or musician?
Recently, Taylor Swift.
Really?
Original, my daughter's got, I have an 8-year-old daughter. She's gotten me really into it.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
Dodgers, of course.
Favorite Taylor Swift song?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. A lot to choose from.
Cruel Summer. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is your role model?
My role model, in a lot of ways, my grandfather. Because he died about 9 years ago, and there's rarely a day that goes by when somebody doesn't come up to me and tell me about something wonderful he did for them in their lives, how much they miss him. He just had a profound effect on a lot of people in small ways, never asked for credit or recognition, but just extraordinary character.
Tell us a little bit about him.
He came to LA in 1952. From Chicago, woke up to a sunny day, it was 70 degrees, and thought he had arrived in paradise. And, he had lost a lot of family in Europe in the Holocaust. His parents were immigrants, and he built an extraordinary career here in LA, and he always credited luck in this city and this state as much as his own talent for his success.
What do you think he would think of you potentially being in the state Senate?
What are you, crazy? No, I think he'd like it.
Congratulations on the run.
Thank you.
We're proud of you. I know we don't get to endorse candidates here, but we endorse all you've done for our show over the years and your great kindness and professionalism.
Thank you, my friend. And what you've done for the state in providing a forum for this kind of political conversation is critically important, so thank you too.
Look at him, already learning how to suck up as a politician.
I've been sucking up to you for years.
I know,
for years.
True. All right, Brian, thanks so much. We'll wrap things up for the week right after this.